Alexander Barrett Berardi and Dr. Thomas Matthew Brogan were both feeling unlucky in love when they individually decided to enter the wild world of online dating in 2013. Luckily, from the first email to the third FaceTime conversation when I asked him out on a date, it felt like both of our roads converged exactly as destiny intended. Thomas explains. They met in person at the restaurant Market Street, in Rhinebeck, New York, as they'd both recently relocated from New York City to the Hudson Valley. It was a first date on a warm spring night, and we sat outside. Alex, the director of marketing and business development at Trailways Me remembers. Tom was at the table when I arrived, and I was incredibly nervous. He seemed so calm and cool. By the end of the night, we were walking along the picturesque streets, and he took my hand and gave me a kiss. My heart melted. 16 months later, Thomas proposed to Alex at a French restaurant in the very same small town. A classical guitarist, me singing, "I See the Light," from Tangled, bended knee. I proposed Cartier rings, and he said yes, says Thomas. When the check arrived, my colleagues had surprised Alex and I by paying the restaurant ahead of time for the entire arrangement. It was an incredibly touching way for them to let us know how supportive they were of our engagement, and something we'll never forget. Alex's recollection of the night is a little more unfiltered. "I was viciously ill the day it happened," he admits. "It was the weekend after Valentine's Day, which we had spent romantically at Harbor Court in Newport, and I didn't really see it coming. Tom told me we had a very important business dinner, and it had been on the calendar for quite some time. Business dinners had never been important to Tom before that night. Anyway, he propped me up in the car's passenger seat, and I moaned the entire drive there. I promised, because it seemed so important to him, that I'd enter the restaurant and greet all of the dinner guests before excusing myself to rest back in the vehicle. As I walked in, I remember the staff smiling larger than ever before. They guided me to the private dining room upstairs, which, in my haze of feverishness, I remarked looked incredibly well decorated. I told Tom, "I cannot believe your boss has put out candles, and what is this, a live guitarist? He has really outdone himself this time." That was when it hit me. And as sick as I was, I couldn't do anything but sip lightly at the champagne through our engagement meal. I knew already that this man was my forever and for always. After the shock of the engagement, and his fever wore off, Alex turned his attention to wedding planning and finding an appropriate venue for the intimate wedding they wanted to host in the Berkshires. Eventually, they felt as though the Wheatleigh Hotel, a historic hotel that overlooks the mountains, found them. With its quintessential New England charm and European hospitality, Wheatleigh sprang forward overnight as the perfect balance of everything I had ever dreamed of. Thomas remembers. It wasn't all smooth sailing and wedding bliss from there though. Only 2 months before the event, the couple parted ways with their wedding planner. In the end, the person who knew us best, Lee Bergen, our estate manager at Lone Pine Farmhouse, the place we are lucky enough to call home, took over the reins and helped deliver a weekend we'll never forget. She and Alex worked closely with Wheatleigh's general manager Mark Wilhelm to bring everything together effortlessly. Losing their planner ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened, as it ended up steering them toward florist Ariella Chesser and Elon artist Sound House. It's easy to lose track of what you're doing leading up to a wedding. While researching flowers, I fell in love with Ariella's work, says Alex. It wasn't until I found myself texting her in varying international locations from week to week that I realized what a renowned star she already was. When you first look at her work, each vessel appears like an individual painting, and you realize that she's layered each piece with special adornments, and found objects, such as ripe blueberries juxtaposed with petite mandarin oranges. What you don't realize is that it is all fresh from her 90-acre zone-leveled farm in the Hudson Valley. Alex approached his wedding day wardrobe with the same level of consideration. We are classic with a modern twist, so we opted for navy J. Crew tuxedos. Our rings were from Cartier, and our bow ties were from Barney's. Thomas laughs. I'm an anesthesiologist who wears scrubs nearly every day, so I let Alex take the lead on fashion. The weekend kicked off with a rehearsal dinner for the couple's families and wedding party, and as the last plate of the main course was served, in came the night's entertainment. Legendary Los Angeles drag queen Jackie Beat, a 200-pound Liza Minnelli lookalike with blonde hair stacked 3 feet high. Jackie roasted our dinner guests, even inviting my divorced parents to visit her anytime during the weekend for a bit of unlicensed family therapy. Thomas laughs. It was just the light humor we all needed to get the weekend going. Afterward, we all joined Jackie in the Great Hall to hear her beautiful voice as she comically sang song after song that kept us laughing until all of the guests were either hiding under a blanket or on the floor. The next day, Pastor Diane Catania of Salisbury Congregational Church officiated the ceremony in front of a congregation of 48 friends and family. Her calm, assured guidance helped us craft our service, as well as talk us off a ledge when it started to rain outside and we had to change ceremony locations, says Thomas. We wrote our vows, and each expressed a future built on love, growth, individuality, respect, and fortitude. I was nervous prior to entering the room, then immediately at ease as Alex surprised me with the Jurassic Park theme song as we walked down the aisle. I remember speaking my vows, but more so, holding Alex's hands and looking in his eyes, knowing this moment would set a new course in our lives. Afterward, guests found their seats at a single long table adorned with tapered and pillar candles of varying sizes and florals for as far as the eye could see. Antique silver vessels from Chezer's Zoneveld farm were filled with white roses of every variety, accompanied by lily of the valley, ranunculus, tulips, and surprising elements such as blueberries of privet and viburnum. Large flowing branch arrangements were carefully placed at the end of the table to add depth to the room. It was all layered atop oatmeal-colored velvet Lajavola linens that gave an elegant finish to the table, where a 6-course tasting meal featuring sustainably smoked salmon, New England lobster and citrus avocado and radish puree, beef rib and gnocchi, and much, much more were served. Alex, Mark, and Lee ended up crafting a once-in-a-lifetime weekend to which my scientific expertise, as a doctor, could contribute very little. Thomas jokes. But I was able to choose our wedding song, Jules, What's Simple Is True, followed by Super Bass by Nicki Minaj, and when dancing in Alex's arms, I felt every word.